before the start of the match between Manchester City and Wydad Casablanca, a lot of the conversations I was saying was Man City to blow away Wydad. But even though they lost the game by 2-0, the game itself gave us a different story, with Wydad really proving themselves that they deserve respect at this competition. So I'm going to break down the game and tell you as to how Wydad lost that game by 2-0 and maybe how they can fix it going forward. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so welcome back. My name is Dennis Terem. As always, thanks for being here at our African football. So my first thought is the pre-match procession. Should I say procession? I mean, I think it was pretty impressive. I've loved the energy from the North Africans at this Club World Cup. We had Al Ali on the first day shutting down, and is it the Hard Rock Stadium? Yes, their game between Ali and Inter Miami. They dominated the Americans on their own home soil. Then we saw Esperance, who also had huge possession in New York before going into their game against Flamengo. And we've seen another possession from Wydad, literally shutting down the stadium before the game. And I love the football culture that really presents. It gives me a different perspective of football, especially when it's football going to the world. So it's literally taking their culture of football to the world. And I think people loved it. People loved this. And I also personally loved it. But on the game itself, how the game started, I wasn't really impressed with how the game started. Going into the match, Wydad were playing 5 men at defense in their lineup. They were playing 5 back. And out of that 5 back, 3 men in center back, 3 men at the center back, and 2 of them were starting their first ever game. 2 of those men were starting their first ever official game for Wydad because Ferreira came for this Club World Cup, and then also Meyers also came during the Club World Cup. So these 2 players were playing their first official game, and just after 2 minutes, this happened. If you see this picture here. So the man I'm highlighting was supposed to be in line with the offside trap, but then he fell deep. He fell off the line, and then that played Jeremy Doku to be onside, and this was how Man City created their first goal. So it felt like they were playing defensive player that had not played before. 2 of them out of the 3 were new. So yes, even though it was good to facilitate the play of Wydad, the error came so early. The telepathy, which did not exist between the 3 of them, showed so early. And I think that really had a big impact on the game, because if not for that early goal, it's possible Wydad would have really given a different story for the game. Then even for the moment Man City actually scored the goal, you could see Wydad's goalkeeper punched the ball, but ordinarily it's advised that when you're punching the ball, you don't punch it back into the hit zone where everybody is concentrated. That's the 6 yard and then in front of the 6 yard. You don't punch balls over there because it's 50-50. If you get the opponent, they are getting a direct attempt to score you at your goal. And that was what happened. He punched it straight back into play, into the main central area of his defense, and then it fell to the hands of Phil Foden, who scored the opening goal for Manchester City. So it felt like a combination of 2 errors, failing to set the outside trap accurately, and then the goalkeeper sort of spilling the ball straight into the danger zone of his team, which resulted in the first goal for Manchester City. But I actually love the response from Wydad because they showed they were ruthless, they were fearless, they didn't come to bow down to Manchester City. And right from when they conceded, they took over. Sort of the approach was to build from the back, and no matter what, they stayed to their approach. And okay, I've not been watching a lot of Man City games in recent times this season, but then from what I know, it has always been difficult to slice through Manchester City, especially when you are building from the back, because they have the ability to press you so hard up higher the field. So because of that high press, a lot of teams make errors when they are building up, and the build-up is not that smooth. But for Wydad, it was different because right from the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-backs, the 3 themselves, centre-backs, through to midfield, it felt like everybody knew their role. So they could just play 3-4 passes and then break the press of City, which I think was impressive on the day. And that led me to one area where I think Wydad were lacking up front. This man, London Amrabat. So he is 38 years. And you could tell from his challenges with the young Man City left back, O'Reilly, that it was no match because O'Reilly was younger, he was faster, he was bit much, he was much, in terms of match fitness, he was fitter for the game. So it was a bit of a mismatch where Amrabat couldn't really outpace him. He couldn't really go past him a couple of times, but you could tell Amrabat had the quality when he took crosses. It was perfect crosses. But then in terms of beating opponents from the wings, outpacing your opponents, he was a suspect all game throughout on the wings. And you could tell this is a player who has quality, but then he has outaged his existence on the field of play. And one man who really showed that he was really true in his prime was this man, Kosilot. Oh boy, what a game he had from creating chances. This moment where he sized two Man City players, lifting the ball over their heads, um, taking shots from outside the box. He was the biggest threat for Wydad, and it was so unfortunate that this moment, for instance, when he had completely beaten the Man City centre back, he just slipped at that last moment. He just slipped. If only he stood on his feet, I think the results would have probably been different because he gave Wydad that outlet, that confidence in the game that they could always attack and cause threats from the back. And it was quite unfortunate too that a player like Cassius Malula didn't really have his day because imagine Malula having his day. Imagine Amrabat also having a good day. It would have been a deadly attack for Wydad. It was only Kosilot having a good day, not enough support from the other two attackers, but he was still able to really be of good threat to Manchester City at the back. Then, of course, it leads me to the Man City second goal, where, quite ironically, it was the same defender who sort of played the coup onside for the first goal, Boateng, the former Sundowns defender who was ball watching instead of attacking the ball. He was literally ball watching, waiting for the ball to come to him before he clears it in. That was how Jerry Doku sneaked in just behind him, sneaked in to get a touch and score that is second goal for Man City. All in all, I think the stage, the experience, and everything was the differential in this game because Wydad proved that even without having the over 100 million market value squad, they were still able to compete. They were still able to slice through City. They were still able to create their chances. They were still able to threaten Manchester City, and they were fearless throughout the game. And the coach, Mohamed Amin Ben Hashem, I think I'll have to give him his plaudits, even though they lost, for at least being able to really put up that talent. Because that was one of the teams I wasn't really expecting a lot from, just because they're in a transitional phase. They're not really at the point where you think this is a settled team. This is a team that has been together, has been built together, and they are settled. They are still in a transitional phase. So if this is the transitional phase, then imagine when they finally get settled, when they get their team in shape, playing to their rhythm, when everybody is settled and as understandable in the team, they'll be so dangerous at that point. So I think it was a good game for Wydad, though they lost that game. But even moving beyond this match, it adds a bit of an extra flavor as to whether Wydad can really have a slight chance of making it beyond the group stage, because they now have Al Ain and they have Juventus to play 2 games. And from the performance against Man City, they can match Al Ain, they can match Juventus if they repeat such performance. So that also gives a bit of, if you can go against the best this way, then it's possible you can go against Juve, go against Al Ain, and possibly, maybe even nick some points and then get out of this group, which I think will be a huge success, just based on how Wydad were coming into this competition. It will be a huge success if that happens. But if you watch the game too, tell me in the comments what's your takeouts, your thoughts from this game. You can let me know in the comment section.